Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of Chicks and Sticks, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. My name is Melissa Boyd, and I'm once again joined by my partners in crime, Kristy Flannery, Hannah Garfield, and Mariah Holland. How are you doing tonight, ladies?
Hey!
Recovered from free agent frenzy yesterday.
Not quite.
Getting there. If you're enjoying our show, make sure to drop us a like, a follow, or a comment from wherever you're watching or listening. And be sure to send us in your questions and we'll answer them in a future episode. Well, so we are officially through 2 days of free agent frenzy in the NHL. So the annual shopping spree in the league. And the offseason continues to be all kinds of crazy. More trades, huge contracts handed out, new homes for some prominent names, and others who decided to stay loyal to their teams. So we wanted to dedicate the show this week to free agent frenzy. So let's dive in and discuss some of the hot topics that have emerged over the last 48 hours. And we're going to start with contracts. And as our dear Hannah loves to say, simple math, because to put it simply, a lot of money was handed out on Wednesday. A lot of money, a lot of term, and so it was a bit crazy. It's something like $790 million worth of contracts. So crazy, and that's just in one day, and there were more on Thursday. So Hannah, we wanted to give you the floor on this one, since I know you have lots to say about some of the contracts given yesterday.
I love I think NHL contracts are so fascinating. Like I love figuring out like who gets what and why and the reasoning, and like I don't know. I just love contracts, and I was so mad that yesterday like free agency frenzy fell on like a very busy day at work for me. So I feel like I haven't properly digested or like put together all my thoughts. But I think the thing that really struck me about the contracts in general this year, more than the past couple of years, is just how long some of these contracts are. I was going through and I was jotting a couple of them down. We have Dougie Hamilton at 7 years. We have Zach Hyman at 7 years. We have Seth Jones at 8 years. We have Alex Ovechkin at 5, which as a 35-year-old, 5 years is a really long time. Braden Point at 8, Blake Coleman at 6, Philipp Grubauer at 6, Barclay Goodrow at 6. Like these were just like the first ones that are coming to mind, and that's a lot. And I feel like especially in this past couple weeks where we had major offseason, or major contract buyouts of Suter, Parise, James Neal, Braden Holtby. Like we had so many big buyouts recently. I don't think half of these are going to age well. And I think this gets to my philosophy if I was an NHL GM, which of course I'm not, but if I was,
you should be.
I don't want to deal with anything, but I would love to just like build a team. Like I feel like that'd be really fun and just not deal with anything else. Just like have my choice of players and build them and sign them to contracts, and then everybody else can deal with everything. But my philosophy is that 8 and 7 year contracts belong to like the top 1% of the league, and only if they're 23 and under. I don't think anybody over the age of 23 should be signing a 7 to 8 year contract, because, for example, looking at the Dougie Hamilton contract.
Way to call out the Devils, Hannah. We have one good thing going for us. You just ruined it.
I love Dougie Hamilton. Like, I think he's a great player, but, he is 28 years old. Yeah. You're signing him to 7 years. So this gets back to my simple math. If you're paying him, his contract's worth $9 million a year. That's fine right now when he's 28. But at the end of that add 7 to 28, he's going to be 35. Are you going to want to be paying him $9 million a year at 35?
You're not wrong.
I mean, and I would say the same thing about Alex Ovechkin making $9.5 million a year. It's fine, I guess, right now when he's 35, but are you going to want to be paying that when he's 40? Because is his play going to be worth that at 40? And I think that's, when I look at a lot of these contracts, that's really what's, striking me the most about them. Look at Zach Hyman, he's 29. He's going to be 36 at the end of that contract. And there's the way he plays, he kind of has a Zach Parise type style where he's going to, play hard. He's going to go into the dirty zones. Is that play going to have an effect on his body over the course of the next 7 years? I don't know. I don't think a lot of these are going to work out. And I think a lot of teams, even in a year of flat cap, really took a big gamble. And I don't think it's going to pay off.
It's funny because, last year during the pandemic, there was some restraint shown by GMs, and, it took days for some top free agents to get signed. I remember, like the Canadians signed Tyler Toffoli, I think 4 or 5 days into like a bargain contract. It was like hard to believe that that's the best offer he had. And restraint was thrown out the window this year because suddenly it's like, okay, I guess we acquired bags of money somewhere I wasn't aware of. But I think your point about, how the contracts will age, I think the problem with sports in general is that athletes are paid for their past performance, for the player they used to be. And they aren't rewarded for what there could be or rewarded in the future. And so I think you're right about, being 23 and under or whatever should be the only time you're handing out these long-term deals. Because no matter how great a player is, like Alex Ovechkin, you're absolutely correct. That contract is going to look bad by year 4 and 5, I think. It's going to be tough for them. So, anyways, I don't know if anyone else has anything to add to that topic. I know we're going to go into it a little bit now with singling out a few of the players that Hannah mentioned, but Mariah, Kristy, do you have anything to add?
Not gonna lie, I have to bring up the Wild because I was a little ticked off yesterday when they signed. I like Goligoski a lot, I really do, and I always have. But signing him even at just a year for $5 million, he's 35. Like, nothing against him, but that just seemed pretty high for, especially when they still have to sign Kaprizov and Fiala and need to add some more players yet.
Yeah, it's a bit silly. So I guess Hannah, actually you covered Dougie Hamilton pretty well, but I think, as much as I think it's a great ad for New Jersey, just because, something good needed to happen to that organization. And I don't mean that in a, it's tough for markets like that to attract big free agents. And it's cool that they got that, and, it's rejuvenated the fan base a little bit, and a team, a franchise that has been successful and has won Stanley Cup. So it's nice to see. But again, in my mind, is Dougie Hamilton a $9 million player? I don't know. I don't think so. I get it. I know why, because in free agency it becomes a bidding war, of course. And so you have to sort of outbid the other teams, but it seems like a lot. And don't get me started on Seth Jones either, but at 9.5, but it just seems like a lot, it's not like Dougie Hamilton. I know he was in contention this year to be nominated for the Norris. I know there was consideration, but I look at like John Carlson in Washington, he only makes $8 million. So anyway, that's, it's too much, as you said. So what about, and another actually big contract, but also surprising as to who signed him to this contract. The Seattle Kraken was able to attract Philipp Grubauer and brought him from the Colorado Avalanche, which I think shocked a lot of people, considering how strong Seattle's goaltending was after the expansion draft. So Hannah, can you, actually going back to you again, Hannah, sorry, girls, you're not talking too much, but what did you think of that goaltender contract?
I'm sorry. I feel like I'm just like taking over the conversation and I don't mean to. I have a lot to say and a lot of interesting. But yeah, I think Philipp Grubauer, to me, the really interesting thing about contracts, especially on, free agency days, is that a lot of times it's one good season can garner you a big payday. Mm-hmm. And I think where a lot of teams go wrong is that they look at that one good season and they think it's part of an upward trend, but they're not looking at, the like 5 or 6 seasons before that. So Philipp Grubauer obviously had an extremely talented year. He had, he was a Vezina finalist. He had a goals against average of 1.95 and a save percentage of 0.92, and he finished 39-1 in 40 games. Like, that is an incredible record. I did not realize it was that good. But if you look at his past seasons, like he was good, but he wasn't great. Like, he wasn't this good. So giving him a 6-year contract based off of this one season where you don't yet know, is this really part of a upward trend or is this an anomaly? Is a little, I think it could work. It could, it really could be part of an upward trend, but I think it's a big gamble. But I suppose if any team's going to take gamble, it would be the Seattle Kraken, because they have nothing to lose. They have money to play with. Like, they have more freedom than I think a lot of the other teams in NHL. And what really struck me about this signing was how much Seattle Kraken kind of resembles, a 2017 expansion Vegas Golden Knights. You have a really talented kind of your big names, your goaltender. You have a bunch of unknown forwards for the most part who are, because, before 2017, how much of us were really paying attention to Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, and Riley Smith? Not really. Kind of their big names, Neil, and likewise, this big names kind of an Eberle. So they really kind of, with this signing, I really think they really, to me, feels like they model themselves off like the first Vegas Golden.
Yeah, agreed. Definitely. So another big contract that was handed out, actually not surprised that he got his payday, considering how well he's played with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But I think the surprise was where he ended up. So Blake Coleman in Calgary with the Flames. Kristy, I know you were hoping he would come back to New Jersey secretly, probably, but he's in Calgary. But can you talk to us about that decision and that contract that he was given? So a big 6-year deal.
Thank you for letting me talk about Blake Coleman. That's very exciting. So he signed a 6-year, I believe it's $29.4 million contract, which is a huge payday, because I believe his the contract that just ended was at 1.8. He's great. He really is. He's a player that it's really hard to root against him. He works hard. He's all over the ice. He scores, not all the time, but he scores really exciting goals, as Mel, unfortunately, saw against Montreal. Yes. And I was shocked when I saw Calgary. Like, I was so baffled. And then I saw an interview with him with somebody from TSN, and he said that it was a family choice. Like, him and his wife really examined what would be best for their kids, and they kind of thought Calgary was it. And when you hear him talk about that aspect of it, it kind of made more sense to me. Because Calgary for me is kind of, and I don't know, Hannah, you might think this too because you're on the East Coast, but Calgary is like the forgotten Canadian team. Like, they're like there, but you always kind of forget that they're there. So at least now I have a reason to kind of pay attention to them. The thing with Coleman is I know that people said that he was overpaid, but he, again, like, you know what you're getting with Blake Coleman. He's going to be a really good guy in the penalty kill. And I think what him and Barclay Goodrow, they had magic as a line. Like, the three of them together. Now you pulled all three of them apart. So all of them are kind of going to be tested again because they don't have each other to rely on. Now it's a completely different scenery. So good for him. I'm happy he got the payday. It might not work out for Calgary long term. I think his first 3 years have a full no movement clause, and then the last 3 have a the 10 teams that he's going to go to. But good for him. Good for him.
Yep, for sure. Calgary's getting a good one for sure, and I think he fits into their style of play. And I think actually he's the type of player who could thrive under Daryl Sutter, which is saying something because you have to be a particular type to do that. So so the last big deal we want to talk about, of course, is with Mariah is, of course, former Wild defenseman Ryan Suter, who actually, I don't know how many of you know, but when he found out he was being bought out, he actually hung up on general manager Bill Guerin. But actually, I think he should call him back and thank him, because not only is he getting paid by the Minnesota Wild, his contract, but he just signed a new 4-year deal with the Dallas Stars. So quite the turn of events for him. Mariah, what did you think when you saw that come through?
I was surprised he went to Dallas. I did not even really realize they were on the radar at all. And I was a little like, I don't like that because he's gonna be in our division still. So we're gonna see him a lot, and obviously there's probably gonna be some animosity for a while there. Thankfully he's not a really big hitter, so but I mean I'm happy for him that he found a team, and 4 years seems like a little bit long, but at the same time he's the type of player that I think can play long term if his ankles can hold up, because he had some ankle injuries the last few years, and that's kind of where everyone was like, is he really worth the money he was getting paid? And I mean, $3.65 million a year is probably more what he should have been getting towards the end there. Like Hannah, you said the simple math with that contract was not there. I mean, I don't know a lot about Dallas, but I mean, they're just looking at their defense. They only have one under the age of 25. So, I mean, it's a pretty veteran list, and he'd bring a lot of leadership. So I don't know. I mean, I think it'll work for Dallas. It's just, did they want to sign that long of a deal for another older player instead of going for someone younger on the defense? Because, I mean, he's a great defenseman, but I don't know.
Dallas confuses me as a team. Because I feel like they have so many old players that they're built to win now, but they didn't make the playoffs this year.
They were a one and done. Like, they made the final by some like wing and a prayer, and they kind of just fell off the map.
Yeah. But I would say their defense is pretty strong now. Because they added Ryan Suter and Hankenpa from today, Thursday, from Carolina. So I saw their top 6, and it's pretty solid now. So maybe they're trending back towards the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they need defense in front of Holtby too. Like,
yes.
Holtby need that stacked defense in front of them.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
They also have Klingberg and Heiskanen, so that is a solid defense right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what I saw too, and I went, "Oh, that's pretty good." So actually, well, there were a few free agents who ended up deciding to stay with their team. So obviously, the biggest name of that crop is, of course, Ovechkin, as we mentioned earlier. So it looks like he will be retiring as a Washington Capital, which is really the only way to go, I think. But again, as we said, a big contract, 5 years at 9.5. And so the chase for Wayne Gretzky's goal record is on. He has 5 more years to try and reach that plateau. What did you think of that deal, Hannah?
I feel like this whole episode makes you sound like such a mean person. I want to make it clear that I don't blame the players for wanting, like, of course they're going to take these deals if they're offered to them. I more think that GMs are dumb for not, for making these offers, some of these offers. But that being said, the Alex Ovechkin deal, I mean, it's 5 years, like you said, $47.5 million. He's going to retire a Washington Capital, which I don't think anyone, I never saw him playing anywhere else. So I don't really think that's a surprise. Normally I feel like he's kind of an exception to the rule, because I feel like in this case, you couldn't not sign him to this deal. Like, Washington, the Capitals were kind of backed into the corner. Like, you can't keep vaulted that team into relevancy. So I feel like in that case, you have to kind of give him what he wants. Personally, if I was Ovechkin, I think you probably would have wanted to take a little bit less money to be able to surround yourself with more of a team. We were talking about this a little bit before the show, but I think he could reach Gretzky's record, just because I feel like he's going to keep signing deeply. I feel like he would play, he could play a Yager and keep playing into his 40s until he like, I wouldn't be surprised. But they're not going to win a Stanley Cup in those 5 years. Like, they're not, that's going to take up too big of a portion of their cap. And I don't think they're going to be able to surround him with players to win. They might be able to surround him with players to reach the record. So I guess it's priorities. What's your priority?
Yeah, definitely agree. This contract came down to the wire last minute. I think Avalanche fans were sweating profusely there. And it literally came in late Tuesday night, I believe, that their captain, Gabriel Landeskog, is staying in Colorado on a big max 8-year deal. Great news, obviously, for the team. He's kind of their heart and soul, their glue guy. So great news. Mariah, what was your take on that deal?
I think it's, well, when I say great, I think it's great for him. As far as money, I'm kind of going to go back to like what we were talking about with the length and the amount. Not that he doesn't deserve it, because in my opinion, he's one of my favorite Colorado players. I really like him, and he seems to be a good captain, and just like you said, kind of the glue that they need. And I just don't know if I think it comes down to what, $7 million a year. I mean, it's not $9 million, so it's not as high, but it's still kind of high. Just when he's going to end the contract, he's going to be 36, same as Suter and Parisi. But I mean, I think he might be able to play at that level still. And I mean, he's surrounded by McKinnon and Rantanen, and my thing with them is their goaltending. I don't know if they're, with Grubauer leaving, they have a great forward core, but I don't know how they're gonna do. And it's great they signed him, but could they have maybe offered him a little less and signed another goalie? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a GM, so I can't make those decisions, obviously, but it just seems a little high.
Yeah, it seems like Joe Sakic kind of penny pinched himself a little bit there, because also keep in mind he will have to sign Nathan McKinnon to an extension next year, I believe. Nathan McKinnon, who's currently playing on the most on the best contract in the NHL, really. So I think it's keeping that in mind, and so it feels like that's kind of what happened. Is I don't think they were expecting to lose Grubauer. as you can see, they kind of made a last minute like rush trade last night to get Darcy Kemper from Arizona. So, but yeah, I think they were not expecting to lose either of them. So it'll be interesting. You're right. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And another player who stayed, another captain who stayed is Ryan Getzlaff, who remains with the Anaheim Ducks. He signed a new one-year deal. There was apparently a lot of interest in him from various teams, but he chose to stick out the rebuild in Anaheim. So, Kristy, what did you think about that loyalty from him?
I think it's awesome. You don't really see a player on the same team their entire career anymore. It's just not one of those things. I mean, even Brodeur, he signed it, he played games with St. Louis, which was so stupid. But it was nice to see Ryan just kind of finish out his career there. I think he made his debut in 2005. I was like early high school in 2000, like, a long time. And I think it's great that he can stay and have a proper kind of finale with the Anaheim Ducks. Obviously, they're not going to be a cup contender next year, but it's nice to see somebody just stick it out for the long haul. So I thought it was great.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Well, here in Canada, he wasn't a UFA, but he was an RFA, and there were trade rumors surrounding him again, poor guy. But Patrik Laine did sign his free agent restricted free agent qualifying offer 1 year with the Columbus Blue Jackets. So it looks like he's staying there for this season at least. I think it's good for him. I also, because I like what Columbus has done this offseason a lot to start their rebuild. I think playing with Jakub Voracek, who they acquired from the Flyers, is going to be great for him. I think he's going to put up huge numbers this year playing alongside him. And I think this 1 year deal is kind of like a show me deal. And then he's gonna get paid next summer if he puts up the numbers. I don't know if he'll get paid by Columbus, but anyways, we'll see. I'm glad for him that he was able to stay and he's not going to be on the move again. I feel like that guy is way too talented to be sort of in flux like that all the time. So, and it's good news for Columbus because, you know, they need the star power and they need his offensive output. So I thought it was a great news for both the team and himself.
Columbus finally got a player to stay.
Yes. Yes, and they got a player to come back in Jakub Voracek. So I think it's going to be a nice, you know, because he's a great personality too. So it'll be nice for them to have that next year.
I think it's like something about how crazy yesterday was that I didn't even see the news that Patrik Laine signed the contract until I was looking through like the free agent signing tracking today, and I was like, oh, he signed a contract, because I feel like normally like Patrik Laine normally dominates so many headlines.
Yeah.
And I feel like that just goes to show how outrageous so many of these deals were.
Well, there was there was hundreds of signings yesterday, actually. Like, so don't worry, don't feel bad if you missed it. It's it's hard to keep up. My head is still spinning. So we wanted to end the show with a bit of like we like to do usually, is with a rapid fire. So about free agency. So girls, give me your 1-2 word answers to these questions. If you can, obviously the offseason is not done yet, but we've seen a lot already. So first question is your offseason winner so far. We'll start with Mariah.
I'll do it in 3 words. Seattle, Grubauer, and Schwartz.
Nice. I like it. Kristy.
Oh God, I guess I'll go Boston.
Yay. I said Philadelphia Flyers.
Philly is my team also. Philly is my team also. Although I don't love the Martin Jones signing in net. That just spells trouble for me. I feel like Flyers fans are so hard on their goaltenders, and I don't know, poor guy. Anyways, we'll see how that goes. But yes, I agree. For me as well, they're the offseason winner. On the other end of the spectrum, so far, your off-season loser, Kristy, go first.
Only 2 words. Okay. The Buffalo Sabres, and I can rant, but I won't with the Buffalo Sabres.
You can say a little bit if you want.
Thank you. They had 2 jobs to do this offseason. 2. They had to trade Jack Eichel, and they had to lock in Ullmark, and they did 0 things. So I'm done with them for right now. It's infuriating.
Hannah.
I also had the Buffalo Sabres, but at this point, I just feel bad picking on them.
Mariah.
Mine's different. Tampa.
Oh, that's interesting.
Interesting, because they lost their third line, their entire third line.
They still have 0 cap space from what I saw. So
Yeah, although they swung a pretty clever deal there with the Blackhawks. They literally acquiring LTIR cap space. But anyway, that's for another day.
They love their LTIR.
Oh yeah. My loser so far is the Edmonton Oilers. I'm not quite sure what Ken Holland is doing over there. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that defense core is going to be fun to play against. Is all I have to say. Your favorite signing so far in free agency. So favorite signing could be who you think fits the best, or in terms of, wow, that's a good fit. So Hannah, your favorite so far?
Either Taylor Hall or Connor Garland.
Oh, nice. Yep. Mariah.
Anna's gonna like mine. Derek Forbert.
Interesting. Kristy.
Savard with the Canadians.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm gonna stick with the Canadians. I'm gonna say Mike Hoffman, just because it's exactly what the Canadians have desperately needed, and it's nice that they got him on a short-term contract like that. So I thought it was good work by the GM. So back to the Seattle Kraken. After the expansion draft and after free agency, the draft, do you think they have their face of the franchise yet? Their franchise player? I don't know. Kristy, we'll go first.
Yes.
Who is it?
I think it's going to be Grubauer and Drager. I think those 2 are going to be the face of the franchise.
Hannah.
No.
Mariah.
No.
No.
Yes. I was gonna say Schwartz.
I was gonna say Schwartz also. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of personal connections there, and I think he'll be great in the community for that, for them. And I think with his Stanley Cup winning experience, I think he'll be the face of the franchise as well. So Kristy alluded to it earlier, failure on the part of the Buffalo Sabres. Do we think that Jack Eichel will be traded before puck drop in October? Mariah, start with you.
Yes, just not here.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Hannah.
Yes, because there has to be a reason Vegas moved Fleury for nothing.
Kristy.
Yes, and I think it's either going to be Vegas or LA.
I also say yes, and I predict Anaheim.
Oh, I like that.
I think at this point, if they don't, I feel like that bridge is so burned that
Yeah.
I feel like if they don't trade him, he's just going to straight up refuse to get on the ice for them.
Yeah.
It's
It
like
just seems like
worse.
it keeps coming out, like, just, how bad of a leader he is. Well, I guess how he's not really fit to be captain yet. Like, he's too young to have that responsibility, and it keeps coming out from different former players of who used to play in Buffalo. Kind of like, he's a great player, like love the kid, but you know, his leadership. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, I don't think they can really go into the season with him on the roster still. So we talked about all these long contracts with lots of money. Which contract given out do you think will age really badly? Hannah, we'll start with you.
I think Ryan Suter. I think 4 years is a little too much.
Kristy.
You know what? I'm going to go with Zach Hyman. Nothing's really going right for Edmonton, so I'll go there.
Yeah. Mariah.
I don't have one. I'm going to say, like Hannah said before, pretty much any of them that are over 5 years if they're over the age of like 25.
Yeah. I also said Zach Hyman too. Yeah. Will Alex Ovechkin break Wayne Gretzky's goal scoring record in the next 5 years? Kristy.
Sure. I'm a dreamer.
Mariah.
No, because I don't want it to be broken. I'm Gretzky all the way.
That's a good reason. Hannah.
I don't know if it isn't broken in this 5-year deal, he'll just keep signing deals until he'll break it. I feel like he's locked in on that right now. Interesting.
So he has to average 33 goals a season, I think it is, to get there. I think for the first few seasons he will kind of keep the pace, but as we said, I don't know in year 4 and 5, and like you said, I don't even know what kind of team he's going to be playing with at that point. So I'm gonna say he's gonna come close, but I don't think he's gonna get it. So a lot of there was a big time goalie carousel that happened yesterday as well. Tons of goalies changed teams. It was like that's kind of what had my head spinning the most. Like, okay, he plays for who now? Which team who acquired a goalie made the best signing or best move? Mariah.
I'm gonna say it again, Seattle.
Yeah.
With Grubauer.
Kristy. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I think he's gonna do well, and I hope he does.
Yeah, I agree. Kristy.
I'm gonna say Jonathan Bernier.
That was Jonathan Bernier was mine also.
His duo now, so.
Yeah, I love Jonathan Bernier. I'm a huge fan of his, and I think Mackenzie Blackwood needed a really solid backup, and I think he's going to be able to take his game to the next level. So I agree with you on that. Hannah, who do you think it was?
I am going different. I do think I feel like I ranted about Grubauer earlier, but I do think he'll do well. I don't think he should have been signed to a 6-year deal, but I think he'll do well. But I think my main best goalie signing, I think Braden Holtby's going to sneak in there. I think he had a down year, but on a 1-year contract in Dallas with, as we've already talked about, a good defense, I think he might low-key be a good signing. He's also only 31. I thought he was like 37.
Nice one. Good one. And the last one. So if you were a free agent, which team and city would you, and you had the choice to go anywhere you wanted, which city and team would you want to sign with? We'll go with Kristy first.
As far as trying to win a cup, actually would go to the Islanders. As far as living, I'm probably going to Colorado.
Mariah.
Living right here. I can't, I have to be biased. I can't not. But as far as a cup, I'm going to go out there and say Pittsburgh. I don't think they're done yet. I think they have one more with Crosby.
That's interesting.
Interesting. Hannah.
So this is a hard decision. I decided to just go based on vibes only.
Good vibes only.
Good vibes only. I feel like Vancouver would be fun city, fun group of young group of guys. It would be a really fun time.
I like that. My choice is Nashville, just because I love Nashville, and I don't know. I know they're not close to winning a cup, but that doesn't matter. I'd still have a ton of fun playing there.
All about the vibes.
That's right. See, it's all about the vibes. That's right. So that wraps our show for another week. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. It feels like the last day of school, actually, because everything's kind of winding down. There will be some more moves and stuff trickling in before the new season starts, but don't worry, we will continue giving you your hockey fix every week. We've got a lot of really fun guests lined up through the month of August and September. So make sure you join us for those. And as always, thank you for watching and listening. Be sure to check out all of our great shows being produced on a weekly basis by the Hockey Writers on our YouTube and channels, as well as your favorite podcast platform. So Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts, you can find us. And don't forget to visit thehockeywriters.com to read all our great content, follow us on social media, and of course, be sure to sign up for our daily newsletter, Morning Skate, at morningskate.io. So that's it. Thanks, ladies, as always, for the great time. Always a pleasure joining you this week. It's the highlight of each week. It's the highlight of my week. So thanks again, and take care, and we'll see you all next week.